All right, so we're headed into this grand finals here. Both these players are just getting to link up now in the Union Circle, of course. We'll be shortly getting into team preview. Both of these players have played each other in Swiss already, so they have a little bit of familiarity on how their teams work. Neil was the one that came out on top of that set, so we'll see if Mitchell can do the run back and sort of undo the previous loss. So Neil was undefeated in Swiss, making it all the way to finals, so both these players really have something to fight for this one.
Yep, definitely. Niels is famously using a Parish Trap team, as you can see on stream, while we have Mitchell using the core of Talonflame and Great Tusk, kind of like a hyper offense type of thing. He also does have a Trapper in Gothitelle as well.
Yep. Interesting to see Gothitelle on both sides of the field, as well as a Flutter main. So where being able to prevent switches and being able to switch through that shadow tag is going to be really important, I think, for both of these players. And of course, Gothitelle and Flutter main will be able to switch out of shadow tag because, Flutter main is a ghost type, and Gothitelle has that shadow tag, and you can't shadow tag a shadow tag Pokemon. So that's going to be crucial information, I think, for both those players to utilize in this matchup here. It's really going to be interesting to see if there are pivoting moves on things like the Iron Hands and the Palafin with Flip Turn and Volt Switch. If those are available, that's really nice for getting out of that shadow tag. Speaking of that, Mitchell could just kind of ignore that and just go with the Great Tusk Talonflame lead or the Talonflame Flutter mainly, just sort of put the pedal on the gas immediately and sort of not give Neil the room that he kind of wants to slow down, get those Parish songs up, and just bide time and wait for the song to do the dirty work.
So it looks like they're about to start off. Mitchell has a lot of good speed control on his team in Iron Bundle using Icy Wind and Talonflame with Tailwind, so let's see what he starts out with.
Yep, leads are going to be really important, especially because Gothitelle can prevent that lead from switching out. We do see Gothitelle on one side for Mitchell, next to that Iron Bundle, and the Iron Hands and Flutter main for Neil. So we're going to see the Booster Energy activate on the Flutter main, and the speed is going to be increasing there. So this Flutter main is going to be the fastest thing on the field, and Fake Out Pressure is going to be available for both of these sides with the Iron Hands and the Gothitelle here. So there is no switching options for the Iron Hands at this current moment because of that Gothitelle, but Flutter main doesn't really mind the trap too much at all, and because of that speed boost, can be able to threaten a decent amount of damage onto either of these Pokemon here.
Yeah, it looks like Neil has an advantageous spot in terms of offense, but Mitchell does have the possibility of changing his positioning, so he might have more advantageous positioning in the beginning. However, we do not see any switches in the game right now.
Nope, no switches at all, just going to get the Terra onto that Flutter main. Not expecting a Fake Out into the Ghost type Flutter main, going to shed that Ghost typing, so can't actually switch in this following field. And it's going to go for the Fake Out into the Gothitelle. Iron Hands being a little faster than the Gothitelle is. And the Terra Fairy Moonblast is going to do huge amounts of damage to whatever it lands into. It is just going to be the Iron Bundle and swiftly knocked out here. So Neil quickly getting the Pokemon advantage, and that's really dangerous when you face against a Parish Trap team. They really like pressing that advantage because they can quickly take those last two KOs just by clicking one move and waiting 3 turns. Flutter main is going to hit the field though.
Mitchell's Flutter main does have that booster energy, increasing its special attack this time. So it's still not going to outspeed Neil's Flutter main.
Yeah, Neil's Flutter main really in a great spot here. It lost the ability to switch out of Shadow Tag, but it's more than making up for it with being just a huge offensive threat here. And this is a bulkier Flutter main on Mitchell's side, but not quite going to be in a nice spot here because it is going to face the big threat from Neil's Flutter main. Though Iron Hands not in the best spot, doesn't really want to take a Moonblast or a Psychic potentially from this Gothitelle. So the Shadow Tag actually providing a lot more value to the non-Parish Trap team. Not what I would have expected here. We're ready to kick off this turn with a Terra though. Both Flutter mains are going to be Terra, and this one for Mitchell is going to have the Terra Steel option here. We're going to resist that nice Moonblast that Flutter main really wants to go for. It does not fall for it, just goes out of ball here. Does a sizable chunk, but much better than it could have been. And the Moonblast with that booster energy boost will just get the one-hit KO onto that Iron Hands. So a KO for a KO as Gothitelle is able to set up the Trick Room here. So Mitchell has two really nice options of speed control in that Tailwind and the Trick Room here. So now it looks like the Pokemon score is 3-3 at this point, and now Neil is sort of forced to bring in something in the back. It's either going to be the Palafin or that Arcanine. Palafin notably has not transformed yet, so it's still the baby Palafin. But Arcanine coming out here.
Yes, Neil sending out Arcanine, lowering the attack of Fluttermane and Gothitelle, but it doesn't really matter because they're special attackers.
Yeah, they're not intimidated by Arcanine. They're not phased in the slightest here. Though the Terra Steel on this Fluttermane might come to bite Mitchell here, because the Flare Blitz will be able to get the knockout definitely here, and even the Trick Room might be going out. Be really disadvantageous for Mitchell, because this Arcanine might be slower than this Fluttermane. Of course, the players having played before might know a little bit better knowledge about those speeds here, so we'll have to see how they play this sort of tricky position, no pun intended, with the Trick Room. Yep.
Fluttermane using the Protect, stalling out an extra turn against the Arcanine's Flare Blitz. And Gothitelle using Psychic to be able to chip away at that Arcanine a little bit.
Yep, Arcanine is going to go for that Flare Blitz into the Protect. Wise Protect by Fluttermane, keeping itself safe for a little bit. And the Fluttermane on Neil's side is just going straight for the Moonblast into this Gothitelle. See how much this does. It's a very nice chunk into something as bulky as Gothitelle, but is just enough to activate that Citrus Berry. So Gothitelle should be able to survive another one here. So yeah, still a weird spot with the Trick Room up. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely a weird spot, but Neil having his Terra Fairy boosted Moonblast, it's just gonna chip away at this. Like, he's able to just continually spam it.
Yeah, like Mitchell has Gothitelle Psychic to chip away at things, and Neil has Terra Fairy Moonblast from Fluttermane. Those are very different kinds of amounts of damage you're able to do with just chipping away at stuff, right?
Yeah, and then you also have Niels' Arcanine being able to threaten Mitchell's Fluttermane because of the Terra Steel. You see that now that Arcanine's about to Flare Blitz into that slot.
Yep, just as we said, the Terra Steel coming back to bite Mitchell there and making it so that Flare Blitz definitely is enough to KO that Fluttermane. So Gothitelle's trying to do the damage, but it's just not quite there. The Arcanine on Neil's side is very low. And this, once again, one more Moonblast. There hasn't really been anything to stop this Fluttermane from just clicking Moonblast. So Gothitelle is brought low. It's still in Trick Room, which is nice, but Trick Room Great Tusk might be the way that Mitchell has to get out of this spot.
How many turns of...
We've got 2 right now. Neil was just checking. So, yeah, now this is a point where, Neil might be able to just sort of stall out this Trick Room and then aim to KO the Gothitelle, like, before it can set up another one, right? It's so low that anything should be able to do it, even the non-hero Palafin in the back. Though Arcanine is brought pretty low, and this Great Tusk does, obviously do a lot of damage. It's kind of its whole thing. So there's still a way for Mitchell to get through this, but Neil is certainly in the driver's seat here.
Yeah, we'll see that Protect to stall out one of the turns of Trick Room, allowing that Fluttermane to be able to stay on the field a little longer. We see that Extreme Speed to be able to do a little bit of chip damage before Arcanine goes down.
Yep, Arcanine trying to do whatever it really can, gets that Extreme Speed off into the Great Tusk. Would break a Focus Sash. I believe that's no, I think it's Life Orb actually on this Great Tusk. So it does do a nice little chip damage, but the most that Arcanine could really do here. And this is non-hero Palafin, can't switch out anymore as both trainers are down to their last 2 Pokemon. Gothitelle looking a little bit like a fool here, the Shadow Tag not really being impactful at this point. And Fluttermane has just been here, ready, able to click Moonblast every single turn, and it's Great Tusk is going to have to do something about it.
Yes, but I think they're on the last turn of Trick Room, so if that Headlong Rush does make contact, we'll be able to see that Fluttermane finally fall.
Yeah, this might be, Neil might just have to go for like the Hail Mary double Protect here. Neil has sort of been in the driver's seat all game, but Mitchell might have just one turn too much of Trick Room for Neil to really handle. So we'll have to see. Gothitelle does just go for the Psychic into the Palafin, actually, so just a nice chunk of damage onto that, as the Palafin is actually slower than the Great Tusk and does get the KO with Wave Crash. Doesn't need to be a hero here. The regular Citizen Palafin able to do just enough to get the KO onto Great Tusk. And now Fluttermane still left unchecked. This Moonblast should be able to close out this game here. So Mitchell definitely has the pieces, but Neil was in the driver's seat that for the majority of that game, and just the Palafin didn't need to be a hero. It still was doing enough.
So for this game too, we're wondering, if Mitchell will be able to make those adjustments to be able to handle that Terra Fairy Fluttermane, maybe how to stop it from just continually using Moonblast. As you saw in that previous game, the Fluttermane and Gothitelle were both on the field the entire time, but you obviously saw that Fluttermane prove its worth, while the Gothitelle, it took a lot more psychics to take down the Pokemon than it wanted to.
Right, yeah. Gothitelle was having to go for Psychic just to get something done, right? But that just wasn't quite doing enough. And we saw that Mitchell brought a lot of special attackers, like his own Fluttermane, Gothitelle. He had Great Tusk in the back, but never got the opportunity to get that big physical hit onto the Fluttermane. Of course, Fluttermane is one of those Pokemon that has really, really bad physical defense, but special defense is, better than you would have liked, especially in Mitchell's case.
Yeah, I mean, Fluttermane actually does have that 135 base special defense, so it surprisingly can take special attacks very well. Just like Iron Bundle has that 100, I think 111, 110 defense.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how Mitchell can navigate around this. Might be looking to get a little more value out of those physical attackers here. Something like that Talonflame Brave Bird. Talonflame's not the strongest Pokemon. Brave Bird's still a really strong move though, so might be able to just hit the Fluttermane. Fluttermane didn't take a single hit on Neil's side that whole game. So if I'm Neil, I'm feeling pretty happy about that. Didn't even have to bust out the Perish Song option, right? Didn't need to go with Gothitelle here, so given how this team preview is going, it looks like Neil might be switching it up a little bit here. Might be able to catch Mitchell unaware with the Perish mode, sort of Neil thinking, he's probably not going to prepare for it as much, so I can maybe just get the clean Perish sweep on Mitchell, so we'll have to see, but Mitchell is going with the tried and true with this team, the Fluttermane and the Talonflame, as Neil leads with the Gothitelle and Fluttermane of his own. So both the Talonflame, that's the name, is trapped here. We do see the booster energies both activate. So we have the speed booster energy on Neil's side and the special attack booster energy on Mitchell's side. So Talonflame would be able to get the speed advantage here, but we do see, and both players know that Gothitelle has Trick Room. So clicking Tailwind in front of the Trick Room is a little bit, gutsy here, but it's a tricky spot for sure. There's a lot of potential damage can be thrown out here. Talonflame can go for a taunt into that Gothitelle as well to stop any of the shenanigans that it usually wants to go for. So there's a lot of ways that this turn can play out here. We'll have to see how these players want to navigate this spot. But
we're seeing a Terra again from the very first turn. Let's see that Gothitelle turn into a Terra Steel. Mitchell wants to see more of a defensive pivot in this match right now.
Yep, Terra Steel is going to be the nice option to, yes, of course, not take double damage from this Shadow Ball, so is able to shrug that off pretty comfortably. The special defense drop is not quite what you're looking at, what you want to see if you are Mitchell.
Just a little bit unlucky there.
Yeah, but, what can you do? That's what happens when you click Shadow Ball. So the Shadow Ball in return, though, should be able to do a sizable chunk. Yep, is just
one-hit KO.
There you go. I was saying, Neil needed to get rid of that Fluttermane, or Neil needed to preserve the Fluttermane because that's what won in game one, but Mitchell just not messing around, just gets the KO on it immediately. Now Mitchell's in a noticeably better spot than he was in all of game one.
Yeah, Mitchell identifying his win cons from that previous game, definitely learning from game one, being able to take that Shadow Ball and send a Shadow Ball in return, making sure to secure that KO. We didn't see that Terra Fairy into
Yeah.
this time around, but given the positioning, like it would have been more disadvantageous for Niels to have that Terra Fairy because of the Fluttermane being that steel type on Mitchell's side.
Yeah, so Neil's going to have to try to find some other use for the Terra in this game. The main candidate, which was that Fluttermane, especially from game one, is going to have to find some new value out of it here. And we did see that Talonflame did go for the taunt onto the Gothitelle, so Gothitelle's really not going to do that much, though. Once again, Terra Steel might be exploitable by this Iron Hands, known for those really strong fighting moves. And we're going to get another nice, strong fighting move in that close combat from Palafin coming in here, but just the fake out. Not a ghost type, you can fake it out now.
We see that taunt coming out from the Talonflame, preventing any Iron Hands from using Belly Drum or Sword Stance if it has it.
Yep, Palafin does get to switch in, can potentially, might be looking to switch out here. Yeah, it's going to stop that Swords Dance, so Mitchell knowing like, okay, a Swords Dance on this Iron Hands could be one of the ways that Neil can get back into this game. Of course, this Iron Hands also has Fire Punch, so has multiple ways to really, really punish this Terra Steel on the Fluttermane here. But
we do also see it has the Drain Punch to be able to recover any HP that it's lost and also deal super effective damage onto Fluttermane. And you know, as we talked about, Fluttermane does not exactly have the best of defenses.
Yeah, this is a bulky Fluttermane, but not that bulky. Not gonna tell you here. So Palafin is going to switch out here, and Gothitelle is going to come back in. So if Mitchell wanted to switch either of these two Pokemon, he had to do it this turn, but did not, so they're now trapped onto the field again. And the Iron Hands is going to commit to the Terra Fire, does not want to be weak to that Moonblast. Really, being able to resist Moonblast is just so important in this matchup.
We definitely saw the Palafin switch out, so the 0 to hero is guaranteed for Neil now. We see that Talonflame uses Will-O-Wisp on what was the Palafin spot.
Yep, and the Moonblast to follow up, so really pressuring that Palafin slot. So Palafin not only gets to switch and transform in the back, but gets to dodge that Will-O-Wisp. And Fluttermane is KO'd by the Drain Punch there. So this Gothitelle's not really having the best time. It's burned. The burn chip does actually activate the Citrus Berry, so a little bit healthier than it was before that berry, of course. But now, if you are Neil, you're still not in the best spot. You've had to switch around a lot. You've had to take a decent amount of damage. And Mitchell hasn't had to switch at all. Mitchell hasn't had the opportunity, really, because of Gothitelle. But Great Tusk is here, and Great Tusk is ready to throw down his Terrifier Iron Hands.
Yeah, one of the best cores in Series 2 is definitely the Talonflame with the Great Tusk, being able to control the speed, being able to move faster, and having the Great Tusk, either maybe Terra Ground. Well, in this case it can't, but it'll, be able to shoot out those 131 base attack, base attack Earthquakes.
Yeah.
With its 131 base attack, using Earthquake or whatever it does, it's a perfect counter to the Iron Hands here.
Yeah, Iron Hands wants nothing to do with this Great Tusk. So Talonflame going for the Will-O-Wisp, trying to catch a Palafin on the switch-in, and because, of course, the Earthquake here, Talonflame doesn't mind this, but it's going to do a hefty chunk to both of these Pokemon. We'll see if it's enough to get the KO there. It is going to KO that Gothitelle with a critical hit that might have been pretty important there. But does just over half, under half to that Terrifier Iron Hands. Iron Hands showing its bulk there. Does a little bit of chip damage with Drain Punch, but Great Tusk has really good physical defense, so it doesn't take that too badly at all.
Niels does have that opportunity to bring in that hero form Palafin, having insanely high base stats, I think of 650.
Yeah.
That same of that of the likes of Kyogre.
Yep, the hero is here, and that's just in the nick of time. Neil really needs a hero here to save this game, because Great Tusk is just so threatening here. And that, of course, that Jet Punch should be able to do a decent amount of damage to that Great Tusk. Great Tusk has got good physical bulk, but it might not be enough. Jet Punch just hits so hard, and we saw this is a Life Orb Palafin. don't mess around with the Mystic Water. We just want all the damage here.
And also Jet Punch, is also a priority move, a 60 base power priority move. It's going to be doing a lot of damage no matter what. You see that super effective damage. It takes down the Great Tusk in one punch.
Yep, one punch is all you need. Talonflame could have gone for Tailwind, but Jet Punch priority doesn't matter here. Talonflame does go for the Will-O-Wisp. It does miss the Palafin there. Drain Punch, just another little chip damage onto that Talonflame. At this point, Talonflame is just one Jet Punch away from being KO'd here, so it's really going to be on Mitchell's final Pokemon to do the most of the dirty work here, and it's going to be Iron Bundle.
Iron Bundle serves as a second form of speed control, assuming that it can take some hits. But as you can see on Neil's side, he only has physical attackers, and Iron Bundle does have quite a high physical defense base stat. So I think Iron Bundle, if it can prove its worth here, can bring us to a Game 3.
Yep, we're going to see the Jet Punch is just going to finish off that Talonflame here. So Talonflame no longer going to be much of a factor. It's going to be all on this Iron Bundle here to see if it can do enough work. It is just going to go for the Hydro Pump. How much is this going to do to the Terrafire? It gets the KO onto Iron Hands. We're in a 1v1 situation here, and Iron Bundle might have the bulk. It does have that Freeze Dry to hit Hero Form Palafin super effectively. So this is a tricky spot. It's going to come down to how much Hero Form Palafin can do to this Iron Bundle. Iron Bundle, of course, one of the fastest Pokemon in the format, will outspeed, unless the Jet Punch is going to happen.
We do see that Freeze Dry come out. Will it take it down?
Not quite. Survives with 15 hit points. Let's see how much this Wave Crash can do. Iron Bundle is physically bulky, is able to take that, and looks like the Recoil is going to be able to take it out, so Mitchell barely claws that back in Game 2. So we have a series, everybody.
We see that Iron Bundle really proving its worth, as Ryan, the owner of CardArt, says it's the best Pokemon around.
Yep. Turns out all we had to wait for was Robot Delibird. That was all we needed. Regular Delibird wasn't quite good enough, but Robot Delibird definitely proving itself in that end game. It was just a piece that Mitchell needed to seal that deal. Hydro Pump didn't miss, thankfully, for Mitchell though. So he did miss a Will-O-Wisp earlier on. So that's sort of the risk with these lower accuracy moves, is you have to try to plan around them missing, and sometimes Iron Bundle does miss that Hydro Pump, and that would have been a pretty different game there, because otherwise Iron Hands is a lot harder to remove.
Luckily, we did see that Terrafire in Mitchell's advantageous state to shoot that Hydro Pump down. If it wasn't Terrafire, we may have seen that Iron Hands, because of its insane bulk, be able to live that Hydro Pump. But, that Hydro Pump being super effective did, double the amount of damage.
Yeah, it does so much. Hydro Pump, really strong move. And it was really interesting how Mitchell sort of pinned the Iron Hands of, you can Terrafire to get away from Will-O-Wisp because you don't want to get burned. But then you just get smacked by Headlong Rush and Hydro Pump from Great Tusk and Iron Bundle, respectively. So you can see how the synergy between Mitchell's Pokemon really causing some problems for Neil, that he wasn't quite able to get out of that spot. And I think it all came down to Fluttermane on Neil's side was absolutely the MVP of Game 1, but just got KO'd so quickly in Game 2.
Yeah. One Shadow Ball was all it took from the defensive Steel Terra Fluttermane. Now we're going to go into Game 3, where it's all hands on deck.
Yep.
Everyone, this is the final match.
Yep, Mitchell is going to be leading with Talonflame Fluttermane to bring him home the trophy here, and Neil is going to be leading with his own Fluttermane plus Gothitelle, so the same leads from Game 2. I have a sneaking suspicion that Neil is not going to let the same thing happen, though, because turn 1 was pretty disastrous for him there. We do see the booster energies for both Fluttermanes activate once again, so we do see that, Neil's is going to be faster, offering a lot of offensive pressure here. Talonflame can once again go for the Tailwind, but Gothitelle can Fake Out, it can Trick Room, both of which are pretty annoying for this Talonflame to deal with.
Yeah, so maybe we might see the Talonflame use Taunt instead, and then use that Tailwind in the second turn to be able to keep that control. Maybe we see that Terra coming out right there.
Yep. It
What
looks like,
side was it?
well, this is the non-shiny Fluttermane, so this is Neil's Fluttermane. Realizing the error from Game 2 was letting Fluttermane get hit super effectively from that Shadow Ball, says, I'm just going to Terra Fairy so I don't have to worry about the Shadow Ball doing so much damage. But we are having Mitchell respond in turn with, we're not seeing a Terra on the Fluttermane this time. It's going to be Terra Ghost on the Talonflame, so being able to potentially dodge one of those fake outs from Gothitelle. What does Mitchell have up his sleeve here?
The good thing about being Ghost Terra too is it's now able to switch out of the Gothitelle's Shadow Tag.
Right, so we do see that the Shadow Ball does go into Neil's Fluttermane, does a good chunk of damage, doesn't quite get the KO here.
Are we going to see this Fluttermane being KO'd?
Oh, yep, Fluttermane is KO'd with a critical hit onto that Shadow Ball. I'm not sure how much if that critical hit mattered though. And we're going to see Gothitelle is just going to go for the Psychic, so it doesn't go for the Trick Room here.
We see a little bit of chip damage down there. A little under half, about 1/3.
Yeah, so Talonflame takes that pretty comfortably, right? Gothitelle, not the strongest thing, but, this isn't the worst thing in the world because now you get Great Tusk in Tailwind, and that's what Great Tusk wants to do. It loves the opportunity to just start throwing out those big, strong, close combats, headlong rushes, and earthquakes. So it's really going to be up to Mitchell to really put his foot on the gas these next 3 turns.
Yeah, we definitely have that Tailwind up, so that Great Tusk will be faster than the Fluttermane, even with that booster energy, I believe, right?
Probably. I would hope so. For Great Tusk's sake, I would hope it's faster. Fluttermane not going to chance it, though, is just going to protect here. We are going to see a double protect, actually, from Neil. Very smart play, right? There are only 3 turns of Tailwind. Now there's only 2. We get to see what Mitchell was sort of thinking here, going for the taunt into the Gothitelle. Smart to stop the Trick Room, reversing the speeds here, and the Earthquake just definitely going to be enough to take the KO onto that Fluttermane.
Definitely. In open team sheets, using double protect. Oh,
wait, actually, it's Terra Ghost Talonflame. It's not flying anymore. Those wings are lying to you. It gets KO'd by the Earthquake, so that's a really nice double protect. I mean, the plus side is that, Mitchell does get...
He gets a free switch into that Iron Bundle, though.
He does get a free switch into Iron Bundle, so now it's, Mitchell just KO'd his own Talonflame and now has a lot of offensive pressure here, but going to have to be able to get the most out of it. The Earthquake KOing the Talonflame, not something I thought I'd see today, but here we are.
The good thing about using double protect in open team sheets, though, is that you are able to scout your opponent's behaviors and everything like that. Double protect has become more important with these open team sheets. Since you're able to see all your opponent's moves and items, that double protect gives you scouting power. We see that Iron Bundle use Hydro Pump into that Gothitelle taking that like a champ.
If we do see that the Fluttermane is faster than Great Tusk in the Tailwind, is going to get that KO there. So with that, I don't think Iron Bundle can solo the whole team. So it looks like, especially in Trick Room, not what Iron Bundle wants to see. So
we do see that forfeit from Mitchell's side in person.
Not gonna throw the switch. Too much money to throw that all out. But yeah, great set there. The Terra on Talonflame, nice idea, but really backfired there. So Neil is the winner here on his undefeated streak in sets. So very well earned, absolutely excellent play throughout the day, throughout Top Cut, and gets the win as a result.